what do you think the Nets ceiling is without Kyrie Irving?
Oh, it's still pretty high, right? When you have Kevin Durant and James Harden on your team, you're doing pretty well. And the Vegas odds still have them near the tippy top. The challenge for them is going to be whether or not they can push aside all this drama, right? That I know Stephen A has touched on a whole bunch. If they can push all of that aside and focus. Kevin Durant has told me he is coming into this season with unfinished business to avenge. And Kendrick Perkins said from being in that locker room, when Kevin Durant says something like that, that's when he plays like an MVP. So the Nets, they still have a pretty good chance here, but the Bucks, they may have a little something to say about that.
Interesting. I totally agree with you. I've got them winning the championship even without Kyrie Irving, to be quite honest with you. Yes, I do. But I will say this. If there's one thing everybody needs to watch out for, I don't believe that Kyrie Irving is going to sit out for the whole season. I think that ultimately Kyrie Irving is going to come back. He can sit up there and stick out his chest and blow V8 and talk all he wants to. There's $35 million on the table. He ain't passing that up. I don't believe it for 1 second. Eventually, he will come back. But when you come back, what kind of attitude are you going to have? How much are you going to care? And how much are you going to be able to shove aside everything to just ball and not be any kind of distraction? Because his mere presence alone is going to invite distraction, because he's going to be incredibly annoyed because the media is going to be asking them about that stuff all year because of the kind of noise he's created.
See, I think Stephen A. and Malika, one thing for the Nets is they can push that noise aside until it happens. When he starts to make a decision on whether or not he's coming back, because he's on the sideline right now, and they're pushing forward. And as they win games, nobody will ever answer. If they get into a bad run, Malika, where all of a sudden you look up and they're losing 3 of 5 or losing 2 or 3 in a row, then the conversation will come up, what if you had Kyrie, would it be this way? As long as they're winning, I think people will kind of push that Kyrie stuff aside until such due time that he decides he wants to come back.
Yeah.
All right, Malika, let me ask you this. Giannis got a jumper. Should the Bucks be the favorites?
Well, if they're the favorites, it's not because of his jumper, Molly. And that's no disrespect to the work that he's put in. He has worked incredibly hard. He went 17 of 19 from the free throw line in Game 6, which was a huge improvement from the 1, 2, 3 that we heard. But that shot right there, Giannis Antetokounmpo, he wants to hit those, but he knows that that's not his game. If they are the favorites, Molly, it is because they have cleared a mental hurdle. In 2018, when they were getting down to the Raptors, they were being outplayed, they lost mental control. To me, what I saw last year is them clear this place that they hadn't been able to before. And so the Bucks, they thrive in this spot. They're saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, let the Nets have this drama. We are a locked-in team. We have an identity on the defensive end with Drew Holiday, but it's not the jumper that's making me say that, yes, the Bucks are going to be the ones that are going to challenge the Nets at the top of the Eastern Conference, very likely.
Well, I'm glad it's not what's convincing you, because I'm not convinced he has a jump shot. As far as I'm concerned, the game.
Guys, it was kind of a joke. Everyone's taking it so literal.
No, I'm saying he has been working. Well,
Free throws aren't a joke.
Well, let me say this to you. The reason why we take it seriously, Molly, is because, A, he's proven that he works on his game every day.
Yes, absolutely.
And if he's working on it that hard, then you know he's going to be better. I'm just saying that in the throes of competition, I have to see it to believe it, because he's so dominant in other aspects that shooting jump shots might take away from what he normally wants to do, and you never know what level of patience he'll be able to exercise in that regard. Having said all of that, they do have something to prove. There are a lot of people that are running around acknowledging that if Kyrie Irving had not gotten hurt, the Milwaukee Bucks wouldn't be champions.
Yeah.
So they've got that to prove.
Okay. A couple more things I want to get to. Malika, how much pressure is on Russell Westbrook this season, now that he's with the Lakers?
You know, I don't think that it's all on Russell Westbrook. And yes, I know there are the discussions that are going around of, okay, how much does he need the ball? What about his three-point shooting? Is that going to create enough space for LeBron? But I'm looking at Anthony Davis here. He missed 30 games after hurting his Achilles in mid-February, but they were 15-5 in games where AD scored 25 or more points. And they were 23-13 in the regular season when he played. And without him, they were 19-17, which is the same win percentage as the number 9 Grizzlies. So when I look back to when they won the championship in the bubble, and that was a tough championship to win for a variety of different reasons, it was Anthony Davis who people were looking around saying, whoa, is he going to be the finals MVP instead of LeBron James? And so he knows, and he knows that he needs to go into this season and have that sort of play. Russell Westbrook, they brought in to take some minutes off of LeBron. It's going to be interesting to watch him, but I'm looking at Anthony Davis as the person who potentially has more pressure on him.
You know, talking to Westbrook this offseason and knowing that he feels a certain way about the way people think about his play on the court, he certainly understands he's there to take that pressure, much like you said, Malika, off of LeBron James and just basically contribute at a level that will help bring a championship back to L.A. He's not worried and getting caught up in triple doubles or anything of that nature. He knows that everything's going to go through LeBron at the end of the day when LeBron's on the floor with him.
Russell Westbrook is a high-end competitor. He's a warrior. He's a superstar in this league, and his character should never be questioned. Having said all of that, it is important to remind people of this. Russell Westbrook has Kevin Durant, James Harden twice, Victor Oladipo, Paul George, Bradley Beal, and now LeBron James and Anthony Davis as teammates, and has 0 championships to show for it. So this year, with LeBron and AD as his teammates, there is going to be some pressure on him to show up and show out, because you know if he does, they should win it all.
Yeah, Stephen A., but you go back to OKC days, they were young, man.
No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, they were young.
No, I'm not questioning that. I'm just saying, as a resume, when you reflect on the career of Russell Westbrook, you're going to look at all of those teammates, and you're going to ask, do you have a chip to show for it? That's where the pressure comes from, and that's what he's going to have to answer to with the Lakers now, because this is his best chance to win a championship.
We got this, man. Don't worry about it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.